Hi guys, how's it going? It's Julian and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we will continue reading this book called Polyglot Notes. And well, in the last video we mentioned a couple more of examples about how to improve our vocabulary in another language. And well, one of those techniques was put a stopwatch when we practice with vocabulary in Anki or in another app which we use to practice new vocabulary. Okay, today we will be talking about developing listening skills. So let's go ahead with this and let's start it. Well, developing listening skills. Speech belongs half to the speaker, half to the listener. Michel de Montaigne. In real communication, we have listened a lot of... Again. In real communication, we have to listen a lot, and how accurately. In real communication, we have to listen a lot, and how accurately and fully we perceive the information we receive can determine our next steps. Okay, in real communication, we have to listen a lot, and how accurately and fully we perceive the information we receive can determine our next step. In order to understand foreign speech, you must first and foremost listen to it. There are many sounds in the phonetics of a foreign language that are not in your native language. That is why your ear is not used to hearing them, and you will not hear some tones of foreign speech sounds at all. However, the ear of a native speaker perceives this difference. The meaning of a word can change drastically, and sometimes it can lead to confusing situations. You must listen attentively to foreign speech. Learn to distinguish each word, each individual sound, and its tonality. In order to understand foreign speech and recognize sounds and words while listening to the material, you must know what each word spoken means. Example, its translation and grammatical structure of a sentence. If you listen to audio without knowing what is being said, it doesn't do you much good. This is explained by the fact that after some time of receiving meaningless and incomprehensible information for the brain, the function of psychological barrier and self-isolation is triggered. The brain switches off concentration, stops perceiving information, and starts thinking about something else, but not about foreign speech. As a consequence, after some time of such thoughtless and concentrated listening, both interests and motivation to learn the language disappear. By the way, be careful. Nowadays, there are quite common audio verses and audio dialogues which enterprising sellers call unique audio courses of languages, which do not require from you absolutely no efforts in studying grammar, vocabulary, and phonetics. They claim that it is enough just to listen to the audio course for 30 minutes a day, and in a month you, thanks to modern technologies of psycholinguistic programming, will be able to master a foreign language. The price of these audio courses is quite high. False audio courses do not have a text version. False audio courses do not have a text version of the audio material. Explanation to the text and its translation into English. They are not able to develop your skills to perceive foreign oral speech at a sufficient level, and certainly not give you any skills of speaking, reading, or writing. These audio courses are practically useless at the beginning of your studies. These audio courses can be downloaded free of charge from the internet. Auditing is one of the most difficult speech activities. Auditing is one of the most difficult speech activities. First, it only sounds once. Auditoring is one of the most difficult speech activities. First, it only sounds once. Therefore, you should learn to understand the text from the first listening, because in real situations of communications, repeats are often excluded. Secondly, we are not able to change anything. We cannot adapt the speaker's speech to our level of understanding. Every person has his or her own style, which it is not clear to everyone, especially to a foreigner. Thirdly, there are a number of objectives difficulties that hinder understanding speech. Thirdly, there are a number of objective difficulties that hinder understanding speech from the first time. When listening, there may be objective difficulties of the following nature. When listening, there may be objective difficulties of the following nature. First, these are difficulties due to the conditions of the auditory. These include external noise, bad acoustic, which is typical. For example, railway stations, where sometimes in the native language cannot understand the ads. A car passed by and part of what was said drowned in the noise of the engine. There are a lot of such examples. Secondly, the difficulties caused by the individual characteristics of the source of speech. It is very important. The difficulties caused by the individual characteristics of the source of the speech. Okay, it is very okay. So here the book mentioned different situations in which it could be kind of hard release what is the meaning of the speech and the words which other people are saying. So there are many factors which affect our listening when we try to hear different sounds or the speech in a person who speak our target language. So again, secondly, the difficulties caused by the individual characteristics of the source of the speech. It is very important to be able to listen to both male and female voices in a foreign language. It is also important to be able to listen to people of different ages. It is not for nothing that someone who understands children under 5 years of age in a foreign language is considered to be listening to native speakers. Okay, it is not for nothing that someone who understands children under 5 years of age in a foreign language is considered to be listening to native speakers. It is not less difficult to understand teenagers who swallow part of the sentences, use youth slangs. It is also difficult to listen to elderly people due to the purely age-specific articulation. Yeah, that's very true. Like the older people usually have a different voice and a different tone when they speak. I say this because usually when I listen to a podcast, it's kind of difficult when an older man speak in English or in my target language, because their articulation are different than the younger people when they speak. It is also difficult to listen to elderly people due to the purely age-specific articulation. The individual characteristics of the source of speech are understood, as well as diction, timbre, tempo, pause, and possible articulation disorders. The individual characteristics of the source of speech are understood, as well as diction, timbre, tempo, pause, and possible articulation disorders. All people are individual. In the conditions of conducting a dialogue of cultures, it is necessary to understand different dialects of a foreign language, not just literary version, so the so-called pronunciation. You also have to learn to understand the accents of their nationalities. Thirdly, the difficulties caused by the linguistic features of the information you perceive. Thirdly, the difficulties caused by the linguistic features of the information you perceive. Such difficulties include the use of a large number of unfamiliar vocabulary, idiomatic expressions, colloquial formulas, special terms, and abbreviations. Thirdly, the difficulties caused by the linguistic features of the information you perceive. The difficulties caused by the linguistic features of the information you perceive. Such difficulties include the use of a large number of unfamiliar vocabulary, idiomatic expressions, colloquial formulas, special terms, abbreviations. Use special teaching materials that explain all the features of sound of a foreign language. Video, audio, textbooks with transcriptions and words that use these sounds. This training material will lay the foundation for understanding your spoken language and then your speaking skills. This is your basic knowledge which you must carefully study. Okay, this is pretty important, so I will read this paragraph again, and I will put a couple of notes in my book here. Okay, use special teaching materials that explain all the features of sounds of a foreign language. All the features of sounds, like the phonetics. You need to learn a lot the phonetics. I have a actually there is a YouTube channel which it is pretty useful to learn phonetics. It's called American Sounds, and it's pretty cool. I learn a lot, and I improve a lot my pronunciation there. So I recommend you that, guys. Video, audio, textbooks with transcriptions and words that use these sounds. These training materials will lay the foundation for understanding your spoken language and then your speaking skills. This is your basic knowledge, which you must carefully study. With ups. Watch a film you're familiar with. Oh, I love it. I usually make this like with animes or movies or series. I love it. It's pretty cool. And actually, if, for example, in my case, I'm watching Seinfeld in English and without subtitles, and sometimes with subtitles. But at the same time, if you want to learn another language, you can put your target language instead English, because some platforms some platforms basically allows you to change between subtitles or audio. Watch a film you're familiar with. Choose from the films you've already seen in your native language. This way you can understand the story and know what it is about. Children can make this substitute for their favorite cartoon and put it in a foreign language. They will know what their favorite characters are talking about because they are used to watch several times the cartoons they like. So behind a fun and exciting case, they will unconsciously learn a foreign language. Choose the video that's right for the complexity. Choose the right materials for you. Go from simple to complex. Initially, use special training videos to play different domestic episodes. Family series, cartoons, and movies that speak slowly, make sounds clear, and in addition, watching the video will give you some hints in understanding the plot and the lines of the characters, as you will see the plot itself as well as the facial expressions and emotions of the actors. Watch movies that are subtitled in a foreign language. Watch movies that are subtitled. Watch movies that are subtitled in a foreign language. It can be quite difficult for a person to get used. Not. It can be quite difficult for a person to get used to the sound of unfamiliar. It can be quite difficult for a person to get used to the sound of unfamiliar speech, and even familiar words are not caught by hearing. Okay, okay. Again, because I release how this paragraph it is structured. Watch movies that are subtitled in a foreign language, and now the author in this paragraph mentioned why sometimes it's useful to use subtitles in your movie or in your series, because such as in my case, when I watch Seinfeld, it's kind of difficult sometimes release the vocabulary and the way in which they pronounce the words, because they are native speakers, so it could be kind of difficult sometimes. It can be quite difficult for a person to get used to the sound of unfamiliar speech, and even familiar words are not caught by hearing. Then it makes sense to use subtitles in a foreign language. Do not use subtitles in a foreign language. Oh, what? This is contradictory. Do not use subtitles in a foreign language, only in the language you're... That's weird. Like, then it makes sense to use subtitles in a foreign language when you don't understand the sound in the movie or in the series. Then it makes sense to use subtitles in a foreign language. Do not use subtitles in a foreign language, only in the language you are studying. Okay, yeah, that's confusing, but basically, if you want to translate or to use subtitles in your movie or in your series, you need to do it in your target language. You know what I mean? Like, if you're watching a series on English, to practice your English, you will put the subtitles in English, of course. Or if you're watching a movie in Portuguese, you will using the Portuguese subtitles. Then it makes sense to use subtitles in a foreign language. Do not use subtitles in a foreign language, only in the language you are studying. Otherwise, attention is distracted from the language you are studying, and the function of simultaneous translation is activated in your brain, which will not lead to the desired results. Once you have seen the film for the first time with the accompanying subtitles, watch the same film for the second time without subtitles. Okay, I will put this because it's okay. I catch the idea, but the way in which it is expressed, it's kind of weird and difficult. So give me a second. Well, I will continue reading, by the way. Give me a break because my computer is kind of slow lately, so it's so annoying. Of course I can edit this, but I don't want to do it. Oh, break. This is very useful. Watch series and movies with and without subtitles. Find sites for watching videos, listening to audio, radio. Well, I use YouTube and Spotify for podcasts. It's pretty useful. That's my main resources to learn, by the way. Take advantage of the technical capabilities of the media player. Take advantage of the technical capabilities of the media player. The options of modern video players will help you understand the film. If the speech of the video character seems to be fast, use the playback slowdown function. Almost every video player has this function. The sound is not distorted, but it will be much easier to understand what the video heroes are talking about. If you have not caught some expression, then listen again. You should understand as many verses as possible, so work with this video property. Actually, I started to make this a couple of days ago, like the last week I guess, and I improved a lot. Usually my method to use this kind of resources is with music. For example, I can find a song which I love it, and if the singer speak very faster, I just use on YouTube and I make the reproduction more slower, and I can understand and practice my pronunciation in a better way. So it's pretty cool and it's pretty useful, so I recommend you that, guys. The sound is not distorted. You should understand as many verses as possible, so work with this video property. Focus on your interests. Watch the video in a foreign language that you like, as well as those that you need by the nature of your activity. Watch the video in a foreign language that you like. Yeah, as well as those that you need by the nature of your activity. Write small dictations. Dictarians train your hearing. Dictarians train your hearing and develop your writing language. Writing. Okay, write small dictions. Dictarians train your hearing and develop your written language. You can find them on special websites with training materials. You can also use audio files with short stories that the announcer has commented on. When using the media player option, pause and record the text. Listen to songs. I love it. At first, choose quiet and not too rhythmic songs. Listen to their words. In this case, it's not a good idea. Listen Eminem, for example. Like, yeah, it could be kind of hard. Listen to their... Okay, at first, choose quiet and not too much rhythmic songs. Listen to their words. Listen to the song and look through its lyrics with your eyes to better understand the words. At first, choose quiet and not too rhythmic songs. Listen to their words. Listen to the song and look through its lyrics with your eyes to better understand the words. So, it's... I guess that... Give me a second, I'm trying to find something here. Okay, so, well, I think that until here, this video, guys, I hope you find it useful. It was a pleasure for me, and I hope to see you in another of my videos. Have a good day. Hit the subscribe button, give me a like if this video was useful for you, and see you later, and bye bye.